Hi and welcome. I'm Bridget Flaherty. I'm the Director of Global Engagement at the Chicago School. So, among other things, I help to manage our study abroad programs, including this one that we're talking about today, which will be going to Japan this fall. And I'm joined by Dr. Kurumiya, who is the faculty lead for this program. And I believe this is the third time. Right, is that correct? The third time that this program would be running. It's been a really popular program in the last 2 years. And what we're going to do is first, I will be covering some of the basics of study abroad with some specific to this program. And then we'll hand it off to Dr. Kurumiya to talk more about this program specifically, the course, the travel portion. And if any of you have ever gone on one of our programs before or attended one of our information sessions, some of this will sound familiar because there's a lot of common things across all of our study abroad programs that you need to know. So just bear with me if you've already heard this before, and then Dr. Kurumiya will talk more about the specifics of this program. So, a couple things that I do like to share about study abroad in general. First is this research that was done by the Institute on International Education that looked at both what students gain by going on a study abroad program, what types of skills they gain, as well as what employers are looking for when they are hiring, when they are promoting. So, those fall into these three areas listed here: intrapersonal skills, that's things like tolerance for ambiguity, adaptability, flexibility, things that are very important when you're traveling in other cultures, things that you'll learn even if you have not been doing that already. And then cognitive skills like problem solving, curiosity, and interpersonal skills like leadership and teamwork. And I do want to share, actually, just yesterday, we had a study abroad panel with some of our students who have gone on previous programs. One of them mentioned that when she was applying for internships in the clinical psychology program, that every interview she went to, they asked her about her study abroad experience because she listed it in her materials. And she really thinks that that gave her an advantage when going on these programs. So I thought that was just great to hear from a student that this just happened in the last couple of months that she had that experience. And that really falls in line with what this research shows, that that's something that employers are really looking for. The other thing that I want to share is a much newer study. This research just came out in the last few months, and it is related to this specifically looked at students in business schools who had graduated from business schools and who had gone on a study abroad program, that they found across the board that those students had higher starting salaries after they graduated, and that these benefits were consistent across whether they were an A student, a B student, what type of performance they had, as well as no matter what type of study abroad program they did, different lengths of programs, different locations that they were in. And really, there is other research along these lines for other types of programs and students at different levels of degrees as well. But this is one specifically that's so recent, and I like to share that because it does show again that in addition to the things that you can gain, the skills you can gain, and the type of life-changing experience you can have, that also in a more practical way that it can help benefit you in terms of your salary when you're either when you're starting out or later on. And then I just want to go over several things specific to study abroad at the Chicago School. So I'll go through each of these areas, starting with the fact that all of our programs are developed by our faculty, and they are focused on the discipline and expertise that the faculty have within their department. Most of our programs are developed for graduate students. We do have some that are open to undergraduate students as well. This one is developed specifically with graduate students in mind. And all of our programs do include a service learning project. And Dr. Kurumiya can tell you more about some of the specific ones that this program has done the last two times that they've run. And most of our study abroad programs are for 3 credits that can count towards your degree. And I'll talk a little bit more in a bit about how you can get those to count towards your degree. And the all of our programs are developed with our student body in mind. And because all of you do have such busy lives between school, work, family responsibilities, other things, that we develop it so that you are traveling for usually about a week and a half outside the country. Most of the course is taking place online. This is an online study abroad course where you'd be studying during the fall two term, and then you would be traveling in December for about a week and a half. So it's a lot easier to take just a week and a half off of your practicum, your job, trying to find childcare during that time, rather than being gone for an entire 2 month term or an entire semester. And you are eligible to get financial aid for our study abroad programs. The most important piece of this is the course substitution process. So, some of our programs, when they're offered within a department like this one is, if you are in the ABA department, it's sometimes a little easier to determine how it will count towards your degree program. But we also have students from other programs take courses like this, and then they work with their department chair to make sure that it will substitute towards a course in your department. So that might be an elective course, a diversity focused course, something along those lines. And it's important to have that conversation early on because it has to count towards your degree program in order for you to be able to be eligible for financial aid. We do have students that still go on courses if it doesn't count towards your degree, but then you basically be paying out of pocket for that course. So just to be aware of that. And if anyone is in international psychology, that's the one program at the Chicago School that will not allow course substitution for study abroad. That's because those programs already require field experiences, that you would have to do a field experience, and study abroad doesn't count towards those because they're so specific to the program. Otherwise, overall, the financial aid would need to meet the standard rules of whether or not you're eligible, your total loan limit. And the other thing I do want to bring up is that there are some changes happening federally to financial aid this summer, beginning July 1st. And I'm still figuring that out with financial aid of what is changing and what that will look like for students. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. And it's very important to talk to our financial aid staff because they will be able to tell you for your specific situation whether or not you could get aid to help cover the study abroad course. Also, if any of you receive VA benefits, you will want to talk to the military benefits staff at the school to make sure you understand what could be covered. Typically, it has been that if you do have that course substitution, if it's counting towards a degree requirement, usually you would be able to have your VA benefits cover the tuition for the course, but it hasn't typically covered additional costs like the program fee, flights, other travel costs like that. And then the other thing I do want to mention is our study abroad scholarship that's available. When you apply for the program itself, there's a question on the application that asks, do you want to be considered for the study abroad scholarship? If so, you will upload an essay, and there's a prompt there to tell you what to write the essay about. So for the all of our programs, the scholarships are due earlier than the application itself, the deadline for the application itself. For these fall programs, May 31st is the deadline. And we have this earlier deadline because then we have time to review those fall essay submissions and determine who will receive a scholarship before you have to decide and commit to a program. So you would know ahead of time if you're going to receive that scholarship. And they are $3,000 scholarships that you could use to apply towards tuition, the program fee, or other costs. So that's a question that does come up quite a bit, just making sure you understand that if you want to apply for the scholarship, you do have to submit the full program application with that essay, that has to be submitted ahead of that scholarship deadline. Any questions about this so far? You know what? Okay, then I will go. I don't see any right now. Let's go ahead to the application process itself. Because with all of our programs, we have to determine months in advance if we have enough students to run the course, go ahead and pay and start reserving hotels and the other things that have to be reserved ahead of travel. Because of that, we do use the earlier term deadlines instead of deadlines related to fall two when this course runs. Instead, we're using fall one deadlines. So the application for this course is August 16th. That's the deadline for the application. As I mentioned, though, the scholarship application is May 31st, so you do need to apply earlier. I also recommend applying early anyway because applications are reviewed on a first come, first served basis. And this has been a popular program in the last couple years. And so I recommend applying soon if you can. And then once the application deadline has passed, then Dr. Kurumiya would finish up, well, we'd finish up review, she'd finish up interviews, and then we would know by August 30th, that's the add drop deadline for this course. So we would know if we have at least 8 students to run the course, and then we'd move ahead with confirming and starting to reserve hotels and other things, as I mentioned. So to apply for this course, you apply in our global portal online, and I will share the link to that in the chat when I'm done with this piece, as well as in the follow-up email that I send. And then we do recommend that once you've applied, that you start talking to your department about that course substitution process if you need to determine if it can count towards your degree. Once you've applied, our department's going to review your application for eligibility, and we make sure that you're an active degree-seeking student, that if as a graduate student you have a cumulative GPA of 3.0 or higher, that you don't have any academic or financial holds on your account. Sometimes students apply and we'll see that you have a financial hold, and in that case, we would reach out to you and let you know. We basically put your application on hold at that point. So once you pay your balance and you've resolved the hold, we can then move forward with your application. And you also can't have a pending student and community standards hearing, which is the student conduct process. Once we've reviewed that, then we're going to send your information to Dr. Kurumiya, and then she will reach out to you to schedule an interview. She then lets us know who has been accepted, and then we'll tell you that you've been accepted. So you then have time to decide up until that final deadline, the add drop deadline, you can decide whether or not you want to be registered for the course. And all of the registration is done by our office because of these additional eligibility review and the interview, and as well as dropping. So if you do decide that you want to drop the course after you've registered, you need to do that through our office as well. Any questions about this? So then just a little bit more about the cost of the program. Everyone will pay tuition, which is 3 credit hours for this course at your degree level tuition. And so doctoral students, you would be paying your doctoral tuition. Master students would pay master's level tuition for 3 credits. And then in addition to that, there is the program fee, which is just over $3,000 for this one. And that does cover everything that's part of the official program travel. So that's the hotels you're staying in, any transportation like trains or buses that might be included, as well as all the entrance fees. We'll have a local guide that's with you, any tour guides. And then typically there's a welcome and farewell meal that's included, and Dr. Kurumiya can talk more about specifics of that. But in addition, this program fee will be posted to your student account the same way that tuition is. So it would be part of what's overall due on your account balance for fall two. And then the other costs are things that you would pay separately. So you would book your own airfare separately, and that's because everyone's coming from different home cities that they're flying to Japan and then back home. And so you'd book that yourself separately. And then anything else, if you need to renew a passport, get a visa, immunizations, other things, other travel costs, meals not covered, those would be the other things to factor in when you're figuring out what the total cost will be for you. And then this program fee is not refundable after August 31st. So after that date, we are confirming with the provider we're working with in Japan that we have at least 8 students or more to run the course, and then we're paying them at that point to reserve everything for us. And just a little bit more about financial aid. This shows you a bit more here. And just keeping in mind, as I mentioned, that some of this could change, and I'm not sure yet what that will look like after July 1st, but please talk with the financial aid staff about that. But in general, grad students have been able to get aid to help cover tuition, the program fee, airfare, and then other extra costs as well. And when paying for airfare and those additional costs, the process has been for you to pay first and then submit a form with receipts for reimbursement from financial aid. Another thing I didn't mention is that the program fee does include supplemental insurance. So this is meant to be in addition to your standard health insurance. And it would cover you if you do have something that happens, like an injury or an illness while traveling, that you would typically go to like a local clinic or hospital, you would pay, and then you would get reimbursed later, that you would submit receipts and a form to the insurance company. We'll send this information. We talk more about this during orientation and send this information closer to travel and can help with the process too if you do need to get reimbursed for a medical bill. And this will cover you during the program dates in Japan. And if you decide you want to travel for any additional time before or after, it will cover you for up to 7 days before and after those official dates. It won't cover you in other countries. So if you decide, because you're in Japan, you decide to tack on some time and travel to, I don't know, Korea or somewhere else in the area, it wouldn't cover you during that time in the other country. And if any of you do receive ADA related accommodations at the Chicago school, those same academic accommodations would follow you and cover you during that time while traveling. But sometimes students need additional accommodations related to travel itself. So if you have a mobility issue, and Dr. Kurumiya will speak more about what it looks like traveling in Japan and the amount of walking required and things like that. So just being aware of that, that you might need accommodations related to that, the physical activities. You might have specific prescriptions that Japan has some stricter rules and laws about prescription medication, and you might have to look into that to determine what you can bring with you. Sometimes students have had a medication that needs to be kept cold, and so they need to make sure that there's a fridge in their hotel room, for instance. And so that's an accommodation you would want to work with the Office of Student Accessibility, and then they work with us and our provider so we can make sure you have what you need while traveling. So it's a good idea to get in touch with them, the Office of Student Accessibility, early on in the process once we've confirmed that the course is running. So just a few more things about whether in terms of actually traveling once the time comes. Overall, we always do a risk assessment for any location before we approve these study abroad programs. So we make sure that's a safe place for you to travel to. But we do continue to keep an eye on that. If anything were to change prior to travel, then we would let you know and we would figure that out for how to finish the course without travel. And also, students have expectations where you need to continue to pass the course and submit the assignments that are due ahead of travel in order to be able to go as well. This has just quite a few links on it that I'll share, and I'll be sharing these slides so you can find more information about this specific program as well as study abroad in general. Any questions for me on what I've covered? And I'll stop sharing so you can pull up yours. Dr. Kurumiya, it looks like there's no questions right now. And you're on mute. I don't know if you know that.
I just noticed. Here we go. All right, let me see if I can do this. Here we go. I know you're gonna see many. Oh, all right. Let me see. Can you see my screen okay, everyone?
Yep.
Oh, here, I'm sorry. I'm moving everybody into the screen. Here we go. All right. So hi, thank you, Dr. Sorry, Bridget. Thank you so much for going over the very basic and very important information for this program. And I'm very honored to provide this Japan program. This is going to be our third time with the help of Global Engagement Office, and Bridget has been very supportive and then always helpful for us and also students. So thank you, Bridget, for that. And my program, the Japan program, is specifically about pro-sociality and cultural and public health in Japan. Okay. prosociality is something that we often hear and talk about, or altruistic behavior, how to be supportive and compassionate to others. At the same time, culture and public health as a big organism, we all have a small group of people and individuals, and the whole culture also has a dynamic within it. So this program is going to have you explore what that looks like in your own experiences where you are at right now, or where you were before, and now where we are going into Japan, and compare and see how it feels like to you, and the differences, and what you hear and experience is going to how it's going to positively impact you. Sometimes it can be hard for you to absorb everything. It can be a cultural shock, but it's going to be very nurturing and effective to help you become a very strong and uh, quality oriented and supportive clinicians in the future, or researcher in the future. So I'm Dr. Kurumiya. I'm the faculty member in the behavior analysis department. Um, and I'm going to take you to that country, Japan. All right, so like I said, we're going to focus on pro-social behavior and cultural public health. Ooh, the color just stopped there. Cultural health. And then we will examine the cultural, contextual, and societal variables and contingencies in that culture and community, and compare that to what we know here, or what you know from where you're from, or where your parents and a group of people are coming from. It doesn't have to be in America. It could be your cultural and let's say uh, more spiritual background you may have, and different contingencies you may have. So we are going to compare and see how it's going to be translated into your own practice and learning at this point in a behavior mental health practice and learning. And hopefully that experiences will help you become more competent, culturally sensitive, and supportive clinicians and researchers in the future. So we're going to talk about the weakness and strengths of every aspects of what we're going to explore. And then you all are going to experience the comfortableness and also uncomfortableness within yourselves through learning that so many differences amongst different cultures, because it's pretty much different from what you're experiencing here in America or within the community that you belong to right now. All right, and then we're going to kind of discuss and resolve ethical dilemmas, because we always have this, why is this happening? This should be this way. Based on what I've experienced, what I know, I think we should be resolving this issue this way in this country, in this community, in this group of people too. How come you're not doing it in Japan in this time, at this time, in this case? Now, that's going to be an ethical dilemma. So you're going to go through all that, and that actually is something that you experience within your experiential hours that you're going through, clinical hours that you're going through, or within your teaching or learning at this point. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go through course timeline, fees. Bridget already went over topics. We already went over course assignments and itinerary and some of the fun stuff. I think I want to dive into the fun stuff. So we're going to go quickly for all these kind of administrative things. All right, like Bridget said, post runs in fall two. October 19th is the start of that fall two term. So we're going to start meeting each week, 1 hour as a group, and get to know each other and talk about the topics. And we always have a great conversation during that time. We get to know each other because these 7 weeks of online learning across America or different countries where you might be will help you connect with your travel partners, because we're going to travel all together. So you get to know each other by, doing assignments, weekly discussions, and coming to the live class together. And then once the course is over, we're going to travel, head to Japan, December 9th to December 18th, Japan local time. Japan local time. So those are the dates you need to be in Japan local time, not in the US time. Okay, so there is a time difference. So just make sure you check it out. And it will be, this is wrong. This should be here. 9th to the 14th it will be in Tokyo, and then 15th and 18th. Oh, no, we actually go like this. We'll be in Kyoto mainly, but one day we will go to Kobe and come back. Just one day visit. All right. And then we went through the cover the film already. So I'm not gonna go over that. And there's someone coming in joining. It's amazing. So the 7 weeks of the course, the online course before we travel, will cover these topics specifically in Japan about how the contingents and the context are in Japan, family relationship, peer relationships, schools environment, mental health, and corporate climates, and poverty and aging, and communities, communication styles. You are going to learn all these topics throughout the 7 weeks to engage in a conversation with the classmates and read and watch some provided materials to prepare for that visit. The more you prepare, the more you feel comfortable and don't get surprised by something totally different from what you know. So it's actually fun module I created, and you all will enjoy. Everybody enjoys that assignments because it's very interactive and so eye-opening. And in course assignments, like I said before, travel, we have discussion boards online using the Canvas course shells. It's online discussion throughout the week. We also have this synchronous weekly meetings. I try to make it weekly meetings or bi-weekly. It depends on how it's going to be. But I think from what I heard from everybody, they wanted to meet each other almost every week to prepare for the whole intimate 1 week or 10 days together. Okay. We feel like very uncomfortable to begin with, because it's online. You don't know the person, you don't know the person, peers. Like you do know your friends, but you'll get to know them, and you'll be so happy when you finally see each other on site in Tokyo. So look forward to that. And then during the travel, attendance and professional engagement with in-country activities are very expected while you're on this travel, because this is still part of your learning. It's not your vacation. Okay. And like Bridget suggested, if you want to stay in Japan, outside of this travel time, this activity time, feel free to extend your stays, have after our scheduled activity days. Okay, because while we are in a country as a group, as part of this study abroad program, which is a 3 credit course, you're required to engage in these activities. Japan is such an attractive country. So many things you can do. It's so attractive and inviting and tempting you to do something else during the engagement requirement time. And that can be a dilemma for you as a professional and a naive visitor or someone who goes to different countries with so many fun things. So have the difference is very clear because we ask for the professionalism during the travel representing the Chicago school. But I'm not going to stop you from doing fun things when we are not scheduled to do any group activities. In the evening, most of the evenings, you will be very free. You can go out and have fun outside of the activities scheduled. Okay. You're not obligated to stick with me or stick to the group, but just stay safe. The country is very safe, but so attractive, inviting, so many things going on. And I've had some students who wanted to do more of their own time activities, and that created some dilemmas in themselves. Okay, so I welcome students to stay there longer if they want to, but you have to schedule that way. You have to book your own hotels afterwards. Okay. Now, this is a basic itinerary example. So we meet on the day 1 in the evening I know this is small, sorry, in-country orientation. We're going to meet together as a group, and the local coordinator will lead the orientation, and we will have the welcome dinner. And, we just get to know and be happy that everybody safely arrived. Okay, so that's the first day 1. And then that will be usually scheduled from 5 p.m. So what it means is that you should be arriving in the country at the airport by noon or so. Okay, arrive. So if once you are accepted to the program and then you know you're going to commit yourself and you know you're going to book your flight that time, make sure you choose a flight that allows you to arrive at the airport, which is maybe Haneda Airport or Narita Airport in Tokyo by noon or one. It usually takes about 1 hour or 1.5 hours for you to get to that first hotel. Okay, so arriving, landing in Tokyo around noon, and then you will be able to pick up your luggage maybe around one. If you arrive at noon, give yourself 1 hour to get out of the airport because that's how it's going to be usually, right? Then travel from the airport by the train, however you arrange it. It takes 1 hour or so for you. So make sure you calculate that time, okay? You might want to talk to your travel agency if it's going to be feasible for you to get to the hotel for the in-country orientation at 5 p.m. or not. Okay, it's very important for you to be there because it's required, right? The day two, we have the walking tour in Tokyo. And again, this is in a tentative schedule, depending on the time, the season, and there's the coordinators will suggest a different sequence of the activities. Okay, so know that different schedules will change or the visiting places can change. Even though we say this is at Tsukuba University at this point, it might become a different university or it can become a different research site. Once the course is confirmed, the local service coordinators will be able to confirm our visit with them too. So that's why it's still tentative. We are aiming to do so, but we have been able to connect with the local universities. The first year was Tsukuba University. The second year was why not coming in? There's another university we went to. So we have different universities we are visiting and collaborating and different activities, if not this one, but related to that. And the next day is usually the elementary school visit. The Japan University elementary school is so different from what you know from Japan, from the States. And we're gonna learn it through the modules each week about these topics, right? University learning, technology, how the technology is used in a nursing school, not nursing homes, or community places, how to involving the individuals with neurodiversities or physical disabilities or dementia into the community working employment places. So we will talk about this and bringing those discussions in with the materials into the modules, but you're going to actually experience it, see it, and experience it while you're traveling. So everything you actually learn in the online class before you travel will be able to, you are going to observe or experience it while you're traveling. That's how I created this program. And then the day four will be most likely another walking tour of Asakusa, which is a very highlight of Tokyo, and Harajuku, Shinjuku is a cultural day. So you get to just get immersed to Tokyo culture, okay, technology, high tech. And then day five in Tokyo we will be visiting a nursing home where the technology and the robots are used in their services. Mostly, now they have the two purposes for that. One is to, of course, help and help and assist those individuals with the needs, elderly people, but also the staff. Staff goes through the burnout, right? And the physical burden to take care of these individuals, adults, patients are so high. So that's why we created this visit as well. All right. Day six will be, let's see. Okay. And then day five, we will transition to Kyoto, from Tokyo to Kyoto. Kyoto is a place where you see a lot of temples, cultural, kimono, tea ceremony. So Tokyo is a more tech and high tech and a busy place, and Kyoto is a more historical, traditional experiences you will be able to expose to. So we will do have the temple visit zazen experiences and some collaboration with the local universities and also local networks as well. And then you have an optional visit to the Fushimi Inari Temple. This is a very optional. You get to choose if you want to go there or not because one, it's scheduled in the evening. Two, it's a very high demand, physically high demanding walking place. So we don't want to force anybody to go through the physical activities. So we will take you there and then if you want to go, we'll take you there and then let you just decide how long you want to stay there, but you don't have to go. Okay. And day 7 is going to be cooking day. It's cooking experience and tea ceremony with a kimono on you. So it has been a very rewarding and a very different experiences for you. And day 8, we are planning to take you to the Kobe Shinsai Memorial Disaster Museum, where we also have the collaboration with the Hyogo University faculty member, and she will provide us the lecture at all to us, and you will be able to collaborate and engage in discussion with her dissertation, no, not dissertation, master's level students. Okay, so disaster is something that we all want to avoid. We want to get away from disasters, but we will experience different types of disasters. Earthquakes in Japan. You've heard of the tsunami of 2011, long time ago. The earthquake hit and tsunami hit the whole place, and earthquakes are happened. And you might have heard how Japanese people's pro-sociality actually helped the community in a very harmonious way. And altruistic behavior and altruism is so huge, and that helped the whole community to recover really quickly. Not that much of looting happens in Japan. Why is that? Right? That's starting from the earlier education too, from the elementary school. And you actually will see that when you spend a whole day in the elementary school, and you go like, oh, that's why. At the same time, that creates a lot of the narrow, inflexible behaviors because we have to follow the rules all the time to be harmonious and also altruistic. So that also dilemma is also being seen in the community mental health issues. It's coming up and it's been an issue. If you might have not heard of that, Japan has a really high rate of suicides because we are such a hard worker. We are so hard on ourselves. If we are not meeting your family's or cultural or company's expectations, we are so terrible. That's how we might comprehend our performance because of the contingencies that society has been creating. And that leads to the public health issue. So we collaborate with the last year's speaker was the visiting nurse. She visits those parents and working parents who just had a babies or trying to have a baby or trying to or having an issue in a family that makes them get to the point they have to get a visiting nurse coming. So she gave us a lecture of why and how she's doing what she's doing, what kind of cultural contingencies and individual contingencies contexts are making her work more important and needed. Okay, so that's also very interesting and a interesting highlight of the last year's visit travel as well. Then day 9 is the pretty much shopping day in the morning, and then we will have the farewell. Okay, so we intentionally created a culture on your own day and a shopping day because you all want some free time too. And the shopping before you fly out back to your own place. But know that most of the days in the evening, once you get back to the hotel, let's say 6 p.m., the dinners are not provided. That means you are going out to the community to have a dinner or go to local restaurants, explore places. And most of the restaurants are open, from till 9, 10. Kyoto is different. Kyoto's restaurants may be closing earlier because it's more, traditional. They want to have their own lifestyle, different from Tokyo, totally different. But you'll have time to do your own, exploring the food, and doing the shopping in the evening. Okay. Um, that said, accessibility ratings and an exertion level. I know this one. Okay. This itinerary also has this exertion level 3, exertion level 4, exertion level 4, exertion level. You see the small writing. It is because every day while you're in Japan, you are going to walk a lot, at least 10 to 15 minutes every day in the morning to get to the subway station, get on those busy trains like Japanese people do, right? And then travel to different locations by train and a walk from point one, point two. So I know we don't usually walk so much in America unless you're working in a downtown area. So if you're not used to walking around for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, getting on the bus, getting off the train, um, just expect the walking every day and also do some kind of muscle building before you travel because it can be exhausting when if you're not doing that on a daily basis, like 20 minutes of walking a day. Um, the other thing is what I also be yeah, we do walk a lot. If you once you kind of explore what the Japan's life is like in Tokyo or Kyoto, do some YouTube watching and everything, and you see how people are commuting, getting on a bus and train, and going to many places in a very fun way. So that tells you how much you will be probably enjoying that as well, and that means you're gonna use your feet. Okay. Then you need a walking shoes for that. Okay. Um, what else? Okay, so here, this is a fun part. All right. I know these are tiny teeny. I just wanted to put all those pictures in that way to kind of out of my excitement. So oh, sorry. Here we go. I just moved it here. Okay, can you see it okay? Am I showing it this way? Kind of. Here we go. Okay. All right. So this one, can you see my pointer okay? Okay, here, this is a group photo when we visit the Japanese elementary school, and you see a lot of elementary school pictures. You see that students are serving their own lunch. It's called kyushoku. They take turns as a group to become a server. And then I know we do, and students will eat lunch at their own table like this in a very formal, kind of fun way. But this is really great because they don't want to waste food, so they're actually trying to communicate with each other how much you would like to eat, and then how much less, and so all those things you'll experience as part of the community, and you will be sitting in a classroom as a student throughout the day and playing in a schoolyard too, and doing the cleaning at the very end with the students because Japanese students will learn to take care of themselves in a school setting too, meaning that, clean up after you use something. You take care of yourself, you take care of belonging and appreciate it. So there's an activity you can do that as well. And so this is a lunchtime. This is lunchtime. So I put a lot of lunchtime here. All right. And then this is a visit at let me see if I can move it this way. What did I do? Hey. Maybe I moved it this way. Here we go. So this is a picture from Tokyo Metropolitan Institution of Gerontology Research. Very interesting to hear what their research is and how they're creating a community, bringing the elderly people, lonesome elderly people who are living all by themselves. And they have their own issues because they're getting old. Japan is an aging country. The elderly percentage is really high, and the children's birth rate is going down and down and down. And then single family units are increasing more and more. Well, traditionally, like maybe 2 or 3 generations back, it was very common for Japanese people to live like a 2 or 3, 4 generations together in the same householding. But no longer that is happening. But elderly population is going up and up. So a lot of elderly people are having some mental health issues. Loneliness is going on. And they often know that you hear sometimes a very sad news of they might be ending their own lives because of the loneliness. Same thing, single parents, right? Single parents who went through a divorce because of the cultural expectation has been historically, divorce is not a positive thing in our country. It was like that in America too, right? So they try to shy away from reaching out and asking for help. So little children might be experiencing some kind of hardship because parents might not be getting enough resources to help them, help the parents. That means not helping their children. So the children are lonesome, might not be getting enough support or connection with that community members. So this research is called, bringing those children and elderly together and helping them becoming the collaborators and creating their meaningful lives together. It's really interesting to see what they're doing. And then this is a collaboration picture that we went to visit a disaster museum. And this is Dr. Matsukawa I collaborate with. And this is our students and also their graduate students. And we engaged in a discussion in how we can create a collaborative community that does not leave anyone behind, and how the clinical behavioral providers and maybe civil engineers or any areas of professionals in disaster can collaborate. So that conversation is also fun too. And these are the pictures from the nursing home where our students are experiencing some devices that staff are using on a daily basis to support themselves from physical burden. And some devices the tech devices that elderly people are using to maintain their physical strength. And then we also do the children's dinner. Children's dinner means that some children go back home by themselves to the empty house where parents are gone, not home because they have to work or they're the single parent. So communities provide a children's diner, inviting all these children after the school, and then provide some kind of activities and meals. So these are some pictures that we took, that we did a service learning with these children and teachers who provide those services. And this is probably more interesting for you all too. Here, these are the pictures of the cultural visit. Let me see. Okay, cultural visits. You can see this is zazen at the temple and tea ceremony that we did. Ooh, sorry. Ooh, I'm not doing this well. Sorry. The tea ceremony and the cooking. And this is a bullet train ride. This is Asakusa. Um, Asakusa one visit. It's a really fun place. And this is a kimono experience. And this is a lunch place. What was it called? I forgot the name. Something lab. But this lunch restaurants uses these devices or robots, but it looks like robots, but actually it's connected to the individuals all over Japan who has physical disabilities, who cannot move around, but they are very knowledgeable and capable and want to involve those people, provide employment, and then and benefit from their knowledge and what they can do. So while we are having lunch, we connect with them, and they will tell us all kinds of histories or talk about the food, Japanese culture explanations, anything. So it's actually fun to go through this process too. And then we went to karaoke, and then we were able to see beautiful Mount Fuji from the bullet train from Tokyo to Kyoto. And this red torii gate is the Fushimi Inari. So we'll take you there and you get to decide whether you want to explore more going up to the top or we just want to take a picture there. All right. I think this is pretty much the whole highlight of this program. Any questions? I know I went through a lot of things. Any questions? Anything I can answer?
Oh, sorry. I came so late. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
Um, will this be recorded so I can watch it? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much. It looks beautiful.
Yes, I know this is a really fun program.
Yeah, I'll be sending the video and slides to everyone who registered for this session.
Yes. Okay, I want to highlight this fun stuff. So here we got the pictures. All right. I think that's all from me, Bridget.
Great. Well, in the email I'll send out, it will include our study abroad office email address as well as Dr. Kurumiya's address. So you can always follow up too with any questions afterwards and after you've had a chance to review everything.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everyone. Hope you all apply.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Bye.
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 Video